welcome to episode 11 of season 2 of the VanDyk Mortgage WMC Sports Podcast, brought to you by Durga Insurance. I'm Scott DeCamp, co-host of this podcast, joined by fellow co-host Ken Byard. How's it going today, Ken?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good morning.
Doing well. Today we're excited to welcome Mario Flores, branch manager for VanDyk Mortgage Lakeshore, one of our big sponsors, and we appreciate him and appreciate all that his group does. Also assistant coach for a Fruitport football team, owner of the West Michigan Ironmen, and a man who loves to support others in this community and this surrounding community. So welcome, Mario.
Hey, thanks for the invite. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's a big week.
It's pretty big.
Yeah, so because, on the Fruitport, alluding to you being on the staff at Fruitport and having been there a while and playing a big role there. I mean, it's this is a game. It's Fruitport at Whitehall this Friday for the district title. I know I've been looking forward to this almost the whole season. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Well,
and we'll get more into that discussion, but
we're pretty excited to play Whitehall. I mean, there was hey, we'd like to play Unity Christian. There's a shot that we might get that opportunity, but we're looking forward to playing Whitehall. They're a great team.
Yeah, it should be. They're two really good teams, I think, so it should be very interesting. So how was your weekend, Ken?
It was good, yeah. Little Michigan State watch party. I had a bunch of friends over, celebrated a friend's birthday, and so, yeah, we had a good time, yeah. Cowboys won, so everything's okay.
Yeah, your Norse didn't, but it sounds like that was a hard-fought game.
It was, but I learned early that, I don't tie my emotions to the outcome of 16, 17-year-olds, so, you take it on the chin and learn from it, move on, so.
That's probably a wise move.
Yeah.
A lot wiser than me.
It's hard.
It is hard
because we all invest a lot into those things.
We do. But, it's not enough to, nobody died, so it can't be that bad.
Right.
And we learn to move on. So I did get a nice picture of, must have been your post-workout that you sent me. Somebody was swolled up at Family Fitness on Friday, pre-haircut.
No, at Planet Fitness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's where I go. I try not to show off too much there, but
Well, I'm tempted to share the picture, but maybe I'll just keep that to myself.
You should
for
keep
now.
that to yourself. No one needs to see that. We were just talking about sex appeal on the show, and who brings it. And if you share that photo, there's no way in heck that people are gonna even think. They already know it's not coming from me, but that's just gonna confirm it.
I mean, it's Halloween and all, so
a clown maybe.
Right.
Yeah. So no, this is going to be a really good podcast, I think. But before we dive too deep into it, as always, we want to thank our sponsors. Without whom we wouldn't be able to produce this kind of content. So we'll start with Grieve Law, West Michigan Joint Divorce Lawyers, Big Stone Therapies, Green Ridge Realty with Chris Dykem and Sarah Reel, North Grove Brewers, Foundation Systems of Michigan and John Botten, Holdwell Banker with equally swole Dave Dusenberry, Scheid Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Obviously really value what they do as well. And special thank you to our title sponsors, VanDyk Mortgage Lakeshore, whose commitment to finding you the right home loan is second to none. Their experienced licensed team is ready to work with you to ensure a smooth and timely loan process from application to closing. You can find them in a lot of different spots. One of them is downtown Muskegon. At 460 West Western still?
Yep, that's it.
But there's different buildings, and we'll talk about that in the podcast so people can find out where they need to go to get those mortgage needs met. You can call them at 231-332-6500. And then also don't forget Durga Insurance Group, which looks at success through a different set of lenses, placing their relationship with their clients first. Regardless of what stage you're in life, they're there for you. You can find them at 1535 Fire Road, Norton Shores, or call them Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, 231-744-9106. So we thank all those folks that support us the way they do. So we have a lot to get to, so let's kick it off. I wanted to start reviewing the first round of the playoffs, including mostly involving teams in the West Michigan Conference, but obviously Fruitport as well, because they did play West Michigan Conference school. We'll start with that one. Okay. It was a back-and-forth game early on. Ludington scored, Fruitport scored. Ludington scored, Fruitport scored, and then Fruitport just hit the gas in the second quarter, outscored them 30-0, and just kind of pulled away for a 54-28 win. I think Ludington scored a couple late ones, but very dominant, impressive win. So what'd you think of the kids' performance that night?
Well, I think it was back and forth in the beginning, and for sure because I believe that our boys were too amped up, too excited, and I think we were playing too, if it's such a thing, too aggressive, where we weren't. It's not that we were doing a bad job. We just weren't filling the right spots, and I think we were just, again, too amped up. Nate ended up calling a timeout, much needed one, and he said, "Hey, we got to hit the reset button," and that was for everybody, coaches included. When he did that, it seemed like to settle us down, and we came back to, playing tough defense, and of course our offense is pretty good.
Now, what are you a defensive line coach, or what are you coaching?
I'm responsible for the inside linebackers.
Okay.
And then I'll look at the O-line, but our O-line coach, Coach Belter, does an amazing job with the offensive line.
Well, you guys as a staff and the kids as well have done a great job, because you've been trying to kind of get to the spot, I think, for a few years now, and in the OK Blue, which I think obviously is a good fit. I also think the West Michigan Conference probably would be a good fit for you guys as well. But just how do you think you guys got to this spot? And we'll kind of touch on that a little bit more later too. But how did you guys get the program to where it's at now? You're 8-2 and got a share of the OK Blue Conference title with West Catholic.
When Coach Wilson retired, we went. We were still in Lake State for a couple of years, and then we ended up going to the OK Black, which was pretty tough.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't back down, but it was a different kind of football that we just didn't have the dudes to compete.
Right.
We were fighting for every game, but it was just tough. And I'm not sure how we got there. I was told that it was either us or Spring Lake, and we ended up getting that draw, and they went to the Blue.
Yeah.
So we had to finish out the contract, and then Kennedy restructured, or however way that works, to get us in the Blue. And I think it's a great fit. I think that's a great conference. And, every team you can't take lightly or take it for granted, just like what Whitehall and Unity Christian, a lot of people thought that Unity Christian was going to beat them. Mm-hmm. And here comes Spring Lake. They did us a little bit of a favor, being our rivals.
Yeah.
And who would have thought that they would have win, and they did. And so every game in our conference is a tough, which gets us better and better prepared. And Coach Smith does a great job of, he's got the right guys in there now. And I think for the staff, and he's been building on that for a long time. 4 or 5, well, this is his 5th year, but we started, his first year was 1-8, and every year got better. And his philosophy and his way of building that foundation, I believe that's where we're at now.
No,
the kids have bought in.
No, and you guys, I think you are a good fit for the OK Blue in a lot of ways. A lot of exciting things going on too. With the turf on the field now, looks great, and those kinds of things. But what you've been obviously in the area quite a while, Ken. What are when you got to the area? How was Fruitport, and what's like the outside perception? Do you think, and how impressed are you with what they've done to get back to that spot where they maybe were before?
Yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong, Mario, but this is the group of kids that kind of had some success like through youth, and they had some travel stuff, and kind of a few years ago when they were younger, kind of went as a group, I think, to Alabama or Texas or something to play in some bowl or something. So I feel like that this class of kids, or these classes of kids, have had some success early on in their career, and it just kind of have built up to where they are. I mean, obviously, a new head coach after Coach Wilson established Fruitport's presence on the football map. But it's great to see. Fruitport's a solid community. They have great athletes there, and so it's good to see all those things kind of coming to a head and putting them in a position that they're in today. And so kudos to Nate and his staff and you guys and that school for supporting kind of the rebuilding of Fruitport Trojan football.
Yeah, but you guys did have to take some lumps, like you said, and getting to this spot. You look at the OK Black, where you guys were at, and that's when Ethan, your son, came through. He had to play the Muskegons, the Shores of the world. Yep. You being a Shores grad, and then but they tried to fight the best they could against that competition. That's tough competition, and Ethan now obviously he's at Davenport as a track athlete and football player, right?
Yep, he does both, and yes, we did take our lumps, and we because Greg Vargas took over after Coach Wilson, and it was tough. I mean, and then I think we were in the in the black another year, and then we switched over. But it was we had to take it in the chin, and we did, and that part's over now. And but I will say that Nate kept us in the right direction and kept everything making everything perspective, and we just got better every year. And that was that group that when they were younger they traveled. And
I thought so, yeah.
And I will say this though, we had at our youth program there was Fruitport youth and beach youth, and we combined it, so that's a combined youth now. And that was one thing that that Greg wanted to do before he left, and we did that. So now they're all together. I know some people don't like that, and they like kind of the rivalry, but we wanted to get them together when they were younger. And there's been a lot of teams that have gone undefeated and done real well at the youth, and then at that time going from wing tee to a zone concept that Greg and Danicek wanted to do, to now where Nate's, he's just an offensive wizard. In my opinion, he's got to spread out. We can do power. We can do spread. He can pretty much do whatever game planning needs to do to fit our opponent, and he does a good job with that. When he got here, he started at the points were never an issue. It was our defense. Now Billy Shanks runs our defense, and he's an amazing defensive, Muskegon guy, hard nose.
Yep. So, looking ahead to this week, it's Fruitport, which is 8-2. I think you had a couple early season losses. One was to Grand Rapids Christian in a game you led by a good amount. I think you had a nice lead, but that one got away. And then, of course, the shootout with Unity Christian, 60-46, something like that.
Yeah.
But you guys have really tightened some things up, and to me, the biggest head turner for me was the win over West Catholic, being able to hold them down and win 28-20. I don't know what your thoughts were when you saw that too, Ken, but I was impressed by that.
Yeah, for sure. Initially a little surprised because West Catholic, a state powerhouse, right? But then, when you kind of watch the film and you see how Fruitport matches up with West Catholic, you can see why things ended up the way they did, and it'll be interesting to see what the game plan is for this week. I think that Fruitport has enough athletes and speed to match up. And so really, to me, it's what happens up front,
Yep, I agree with that.
And how's that going to play out? If you go man, lock those kids up and say, how are you going to beat us now?
That's kind of what they did against West Catholic, right? You went man, and then you just tried to mix some things up at the line of scrimmage, right?
Yeah, that must have been in our game plan.
for a lack of a better, for keeping things very general.
Right. Well, and it's a great game plan when you have the guys that can do that, right? And so, is Stratton going to be a difference maker? Is the Jolman brothers? They're solid, and I think that if there's been a question throughout this season, it's been Fruitport's ability or inability to stop people from scoring, because we know they can score. Right, they're explosive, and so a couple stops here and there, and we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a great matchup. It's going to be great for the Muskegon area.
I can't wait to see it. I really can. I've been looking forward to it a long time. Whitehall got there with a 42-12 win over Big Rapids, which I got to give Big Rapids credit. I wasn't expecting them to come and battle the way they did. Now, it ended up still fairly lopsided, but Big Rapids made Whitehall earn a lot of what they had. Whitehall benefited from some huge plays by Trannon Ayler, their junior receiver, return man. He had a couple touchdown receptions and a 93-yard kickoff return to start the second half. That was a big momentum boost. But that Big Rapids quarterback might have been one of the top quarterbacks I've seen all year. He was slippery, he was poised, and even when he had guys in his face, he'd throw off balance or against his body and be right on the money.
Yeah, he was dynamic. I remember watching him on film. They had a nice quarterback, a decent little running back, and their receiver. That was pretty solid. But yeah, the quarterback there at Big Rapids is pretty solid.
Yep. So I think what happens with Whitehall in a lot of games too, and it happened against Ludington. They beat Ludington 56-0 this season. They were up 56-0 in the first half, and I think what they do is they just wear teams down too. Like a lot of teams they'll just maybe break at some point. Including Oak Ridge. I don't want to say Oak Ridge broke, but Whitehall just kind of imposed their will.
Sure.
And then by the time Oak Ridge got on the board, the game was already decided. And but they're tough up front. But so again, I'm really curious to see that because I think both teams have a lot of athletes.
Yeah. Well,
Their
and
offensive line is huge.
yeah, they're huge. And the other thing that I was thinking about was just the conditioning of Whitehall. A lot of those kids haven't played a full game yet, and so they kind of shut it down at halftime or series after half. And I wonder if conditioning will be a factor if they have to play all 4 quarters. I'm assuming Tony and his staff have taken care of any conditioning, but to play a full game is a different kind of conditioning than just doing wind sprints after a practice. So that'll be interesting to see.
No, and you guys, at Fruitport too, you guys, and Whitehall's hit it hard in the offseason in the weight room, but, Fruitport's got this beautiful new school, a newer weight room.
Yep.
I mean, how much is the strength and conditioning program really pay dividends for you guys, do you think?
Well, we do definitely have more guys in the weight room than we've had in the past. I would say when the switch from Coach Wilson to Greg to now, we have a lot of guys in the weight room, and Nate's done a fine animal. He's just done a great job with getting them prepared in the weight room. He runs it. I know that we another guy is there from, I think, Trinity, but Nate runs that weight room, and he does a very good job.
So we talked about the Joman brothers, who are dynamic, obviously. I wasn't really too aware of a lot of the other guys on the roster, but surprised a little bit by, I think it's Bobby Canfield, 6'6" receiver. I mean,
he's big boy.
He's big and
tall.
athletic. Yeah,
I'd say he's big, but he does play hockey, and he has a toughness about that.
at 6'6", he plays hockey, and thin, right? And plays hockey.
He's thin.
But you got to be tough.
Yeah, and a little crazy.
Yeah.
He's smart, and he blocks really well. And it was good he got 2 touchdowns this last week, and it was good to see him get him in the end zone because he blocks his butt off, and it was good to see that he got the ball.
What's the status on? Is Cody Nash? He's on your team, isn't he?
Cody Nash, yep, he's a speed demon.
Because that kid can fly. I don't know if you've seen him run before.
Yeah,
that kid can fly.
He is speed.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that kind of speed in a long time.
Yeah, he can really move. And I saw him in track season last year. He looked like he put on some good weight, too. Like he's
very
starting to fill out.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, he's another kid that he can be a game breaker as well. But
And then Big Fieldstra, we call him Bruce.
Oh, yeah.
Number 44.
Linebacker.
aren't there two?
He's out.
Are there two Fielstras?
Yeah.
They have different middle initial, but and they're not related. But
They're not related?
No. And we call him Bruce, and his middle initial is B, and
Yeah.
he is tough. I mean, he gets the ball.
Not real big, right?
He's a big boy.
Oh, he's a big boy?
He's the bigger one.
How big's he?
He's probably, I'd say 5'11", 6 foot, but he's all of, I would say 210.
I guess that is a good sized kid.
And he's-
Didn't realize he was that big.
Scott DeCamp type.
That's right. He gets the ball, he'll run you over. I
Yeah.
mean, he's an aggressive, great football player.
Yeah.
The other one, 5'0", he's the smaller one,
Mm-hmm.
but he has a huge heart, and he's our inside linebacker.
Now you have Caden Bell. Is he a 4-year varsity starter, I want to say? Or 3?
3-year.
So along with him, who else do you guys got up front that really kind of help hold it down for you guys?
Wiggins does, Ricky Wiggins. He's a 3-year starter. He's a junior. We have our center, O'Neill. The other guard is a sophomore, Carrillo. He's going to be something special down the road. And then Bell, and then Brady Kimberlink. He's the other tackle. He's been there for 3 years.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know how much you know, but you know obviously quite a bit about Whitehall. You know a little about Fruitport, and based on obviously this discussion, but like, what do you think? And you've done scouting, I'm sure, but what do you think both teams are really good at outside of what maybe we've already discussed? And what do you think the strategies could be, without giving anything away, obviously?
I think their quarterback's pretty good. I think he's smart. I think he likes to keep the ball, and I just think his football IQ is pretty good. I think their skills and our skills match up well, so I love that. And,
I agree.
And I know they have a huge offensive line, and I think if they get their paws on us, we're in trouble. But I think we're pretty quick up front, and I think it's going to be a great game.
I do too.
Yeah, I think it's about as evenly matched as Whitehall's had all year, and so again, it comes down to who makes the fewest number of mistakes, and how do those teams match up front. And Whitehall, like you said, has kind of just imposed their will on people, and if Fruitport can stop that from happening, I think it's going to be a shootout.
I got to believe, though, and I've been saying this, I don't know because I'm not around the Fruitport program, but I got to imagine they've been sitting there all year thinking, I'm tired of hearing about Whitehall.
Sure.
You know, he's not going to tip his hand on that. He's not going to give any secrets, but that's just me, just knowing the game and knowing sports, how sports work. And I got to imagine they're going to come in, ready to go. But I think both teams will. I think both have a lot of motivation. There's a title on the line. District title is they're playing for a trophy. And how much hype and build up do you think there's going to be for this game this week too?
Well, to me, it's the game of the week in the area. So yeah, it should be exciting for both those communities. There probably is a little bit of Fruitport saying, "Okay, enough about them. What about us?" And so maybe they come in with a chip on their shoulder, and really nothing to lose. The pressure's not on them.
Right.
And so that can be a dangerous spot for Whitehall to be in when you play teams that have nothing to lose and just want to go out and kind of prove a point. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. I really do.
Now, Tony Sigmund said that after the Big Rapids game, talking to his kids, he goes, look, you're going to get everyone's best shot, and each team you play from here on out is going to be fully capable of winning that game and claiming that trophy. So you got to be ready. You can't have any letdowns at this point. And so, I mean, I think it's a really fascinating matchup.
Yeah, I do too.
I know the community both ways. I have a good friend, Don Rake, that used to coach there. He took the year off this year. And it's funny, his son is on our staff. And
Brandon is?
Brando is.
Brando, yeah.
And he does a great job, too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird deal.
Is he giving away secrets?
I think he's walking a little soft because we were, after our game against Ludington, the Whitehall staff was at Whitlow's. That's where we usually go afterwards. And they were there in the corner. And they were nice guys. I think they're a great staff, too.
Yeah.
I think they're cool dudes. But Brando's over there. He went over there and said hi to him. And he's got the fruit shirt on. It's like, oh, boy. But I know that, the workplace, we have friends that work, and they're all talking about Whitehall and Fruitport. I was at church, and it got brought up, and I'm like, man, this is going to be.
Is it possible to slip Brando into a uniform for Fruitport still, or not? He's still young enough, right?
Then we'd have two tall dudes. Give Bobby a little run for his money.
Yeah. So other games we had Friday, obviously, the best game or most competitive game I thought in the area was Ravenna's 10-7 win over North Muskegon, which obviously you were at that game. And what were your thoughts on that and how that turned out?
Yeah, it was if you were into drama and just good competition, that you couldn't beat that game. Back and forth, they made some plays that we just didn't. Hunter Hogan was an absolute difference maker. There were several times where we thought we had him dead to rights, and he just used his Hunter Hogan superpowers and made plays, and it was it was frustrating. But you tip your cap to them and him and his effort, and you hope for the best. As they move on to Ithaca next Friday, and so a tall task. Ithaca's pretty good.
Yeah.
But I just Hunter Hogan's the real deal, and so at the Division 7 level, a kid like that. Can have he's a game changer. So, and he definitely changed that game on Friday.
He's not a real big kid. He's like 5'9", 170, 175 pounds.
Yeah, but he plays big.
He plays big. He throws his body out there, and he'll just really like a wrecking ball, throw his body, and especially coming up from his free safety spot, and then playing quarterback for them. But that Ithaca. I mean, you've seen their stadium, right? It looks. Have you seen their stadium? It's incredible. I've actually was exchanging emails with their AD because we're going to be sending an audio team up there as well. We have 4 games this week, that we cover, teams we cover, and we'll get to that in a minute. But, Terry Hesbrook's the former coach here. He's still the AD. His son, Jordan Hesbrook, is the coach there now. But, it looks like a small college there at that
it's impressive.
stadium.
It's impressive.
So and Fruitport's on their way with their stadium. Anything else coming with that, you think?
Well,
like press box stands, all that stuff.
That needs to get redone, the press box for sure. But maybe a little locker room down there. It's a long walk, but
But is there some tradition to that though? Walking through the woods.
There is, and they're stomping and they're chanting, and pretty cool actually.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is cool. Those are some of the traditions that you love about high school sports.
What are?
Just like that. The walk from the school to the football field at Fruitport.
It was always amazing to me, and I never what's the big deal? But when they hit those cleats on that game, and it's just awesome. And,
Yeah.
and the chant that they do, I can't do that chant, but they get into it, and they touch Rieger's Rock, which is a huge tradition, and
Yeah.
it's just with the new
And that was your first home playoff win in quite some time, right? First home playoff game
since 2006.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was a big night, big moment for you guys.
Yep. And then so not that we're chasing the past at all, but just to put it in perspective of how long it's been to get a play. I mean, it was 10 years for a playoff. Last team to do it was 2013, and then a home playoff was 2006, and then they lost second round to East Grand Rapids, and so
When was the last district title?
2001.
Yeah. Was that the team that got to the state finals?
Yep, that was. And
With
we have
Marcus Langlois,
and Rob Newton's is on our staff
Yeah.
too, and he just joined this year, and he's a great to have around, and he gets right in there, and
that team. Did they lose to Farmington Hills Harrison? I want to say.
yeah. And Drew Stanton played on that team, which is my wife's cousin.
And Agim Shabai was on that team.
Yeah.
They were
Loaded.
They were loaded. John Harrington was coaching them.
Right.
So yeah, but no, again, great tradition at Fruitport. It's cool to see things back on that track again. So in other games in round one, we had Oak Ridge beat Shepherd 32-0. Trevor Jones had a huge game, 263 yards, all 4 touchdowns. They kind of had their way, which was kind of expected. That was in Division 5. Division 6, Reed City beat Montague 44-15. I thought a lot of people probably saw Reed City winning, but Montague fell into an early hole, kind of battled back, but they just didn't quite have enough to make the complete comeback. So Montague finishes at 3-7, which is uncharacteristic for them, but tough schedule and had some close losses along the way. Reed City will play Muskegon Catholic this week. Oak Ridge will host Belding in a battle of 9-1 teams. That could be a really good one too.
That'll be a good one.
And then and then the other one, which this is where I'm going to actually pat myself on the back after I tear myself down, because I didn't have enough faith in my alma mater for them to get it done against North Muskegon. So sorry Bulldogs fans and everyone in my hometown. I thought it would be a hotly contested game, maybe a little more so than the first matchup when it was 28-7 North Muskegon, but Ravenna got that done. But the one I am proud of, this was my upset special, and I don't want to say it was a huge upset, though, was Manistee beating Boyne City. Boyne City was undefeated, but Manistee played such a tough schedule, facing the likes of Whitehall, Ludington, Oak Ridge, Montague, etc. And coming through that, and Boyne City was undefeated, but hadn't played maybe quite that same level of schedule. So, did you guys have any thoughts on any of those teams? Any of those games? Oak Ridge, Montague, Manistee.
Oak Ridge kind of ended where I thought. Montague kind of ended where I thought. The Manistee game, I think I pretty much talked you into making that upset pick.
I don't know about that.
Supported that.
You actually did.
I did. If you checked the podcast last week, I said that would be a nice pick.
Billy, we got to scrub that.
So no, but good kudos for them, But we talked about battle tested and the strength of schedule when you play in the West Michigan Conference, and so there's a direct testament to the benefits of playing that schedule, right? And you're playing for district championship now, so good for them.
And you know where they get to go for the district championship, right?
I think they're up in
Gladstone.
Yeah, Gladstone.
It's a 6+ hour trip.
Wow.
I know
from here, not for them. That's probably what 5 hours for them, maybe.
Yeah.
What a hike.
Yeah.
That's why we need a ferry, Manistee to Gladstone ferry.
And they're going to. Maybe we can make that happen.
Right.
Quickly, let's get that going. I don't know if you got any connections with the Lake Express. Maybe we can kind of.
Not yet.
Yeah, we got the right guy here.
So, but I've gotten to know their coach, and I've known him quite a long time. Troy Byard. He was the offensive coordinator at Portage Northern when I was down working in Kalamazoo for 13 years. And it's funny, if you see him now, he kind of got this Matthew McConaughey thing going. He's kind of got that look. And I did a phone interview with him after they won Friday, just so I could get some quotes for the story. And I was listening to the recording, and I'm like, he even sounds like McConaughey a little bit.
Wow.
All right.
All right. Speaking of which, if you haven't read McConaughey's book, Green Lights, you have to read it. It's a phenomenal book. Easy read. Yeah, it's a really, really good book. The audio book's better because McConaughey actually narrates it.
Oh, he does? Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really good read.
I'll have to add that one to the list.
Do that.
So yeah, he's fun to listen to and fun to watch. But best of luck to them as well. Manistee going up north. But just
Sounds like a lot of good games.
yeah,
Good.
there is. And just to put a plug in, looks like we're gonna do live audio streams of 3 and maybe all 4 of those games. We're kind of still working on maybe sending some up to UP, and you might think, really? We might. We're looking into it right now. So, and obviously by the time this podcast publishes Thursday, that decision will have been made and the plans will be made by that time either way. But we do video live streams throughout the regular season. We're allowed to do that, but in the playoffs we can't. We can only do the audio piece because the MHSA owns the rights to the actual video piece, so we can't do the video in the playoffs. But we had a really good audience though for the 3 games we did last week. So
Good.
A lot of people were tuning in. So
Yeah, it's a good time to tune in.
yeah. So I know you're not going to want to make any predictions, at least on your game, but do we have any predictions on these 4 games this week that you guys feel comfortable making?
I'm going to call it right now. I'm going to go Fruitport upsets Whitehall.
Is that just because I'm here?
No, I'm saying I just feel like there's enough, like Fruitport's fired up, right? And the chip on the shoulder thing really kind of just resonates with me. Like, we do have nothing to prove, and so you're going to get our best. And so I'm going to call it. I'm going to say 42-32 Fruitport.
We can move on to another game. I know
go to the
you
other
probably don't want to give either way. You probably don't want to say anything. Obviously, you're going to be confident in your team.
We're really confident in our team. I mean, you talk about the chip on the shoulder after the Unity Christian, at least on the defensive side, Nate reeled us in and we bared down and we hashed some things out.
Yeah.
And it's been work. But every game has been pretty much like that ever since. And, I don't know that's a bad thing, especially out of the respect of the prior teams that were at Fruitport, where it was more of an expectation. I know it's an expectation now, and our players know it's an expectation now. There's no surprise that we're here, but we're still getting that. Should we be here?
Right.
Right.
And,
Oh, yeah.
and our guys are a little.
Oh yeah.
Hey, let's go get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's dangerous.
So who do you guys like in the Oak Ridge Belding game?
So Belding, a little bit of history with them. We were going to try to put them on our JV schedule last year, and I have a friend who's the principal there, and he said, "Listen, Ken, we're really good." And he wasn't wrong. And so we didn't schedule them. We were shorthanded JV that week anyway. But I think it'll be a good matchup. Belding kind of power run. I think they're still wing T-ish.
Monty Price came from Reed City.
Right. And so, just knowing his brand of football and kind of punch you in the mouth sort of feeling, I think it'll be a good matchup.
That's going to be a slobber knocker.
Yeah. Nice. Slobber knocker. I haven't heard that one forever, but I'll go with it.
I'll pull that out of the archives.
I'm going with slobber knocker. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Oak Ridge. Our guys are going to be, if they hear this, they're going to be upset because we'd like to play Oak Ridge one of these days.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember when Belding played OV, and I knew a lot of people there, and Belding was always their nemesis. And
well, I will say, I think Fruitport's enrollment's shrinking a little bit still, isn't it?
it is, even though we're getting more, in the mortgage, but I'm in there. So
Yeah.
there's more people coming in, but
Yeah.
we don't count other numbers that we did in the past. So we're right at the right
Because Oak Ridge
level.
keeps growing too,
Right.
so that could happen in the near future. If it didn't happen in the regular season, it could happen maybe in the playoffs in the near future too. So
Yeah, I'm going to go with Oak Ridge too.
And then Manistee at Gladstone. I don't know if you guys know about Gladstone. I believe they're the Braves, maybe.
I think so. It's the home of Blair Moreau. So Blair Moreau, if you're out there, maybe we can get you to do the audio cast.
Maybe send him up there.
Right.
See his daughter. When
There you go.
She's up in Northern. So.
Yeah. So Blair, get your butt up there and audio stream that for us. Why not go with Manistee? What the heck? They got to make the trip. Yeah.
I'm with Manistee.
Yeah, I'm going with them.
Manistee's got a big line and good job of the running game. So yeah, they're battle tested as we've said. So Ravenna Ithaca.
So I know a little bit about this one. Ithaca is tough. They kind of remind me of us, North Muskegon, kind of that spread look past to establish the run. They're probably a little bit bigger than we are up front, which isn't saying much. But once again, I'm going to go back to Hunter Hogan, and he's a difference maker. And so my heart wants to say Ravenna because of him and his ability to be a game changer. I'm just not sure that they have enough up front to sustain a full game of kind of getting pounded on.
Right, because that's what Ithaca likes to do, and
Right.
and they've got I think like with you guys, James is capable of running when he needs to, but he's not a true
Right.
running. He's more of a pure like pocket passer type guy.
And they have a true
They have a true dual threat, which
right.
just puts so much strain on
Right.
your defense. Which, going back to Fruitport and Whitehall, obviously I know that your quarterback can do both, and I know Stratton can. And in fact, that's what makes Stratton so tough, is that he can buy more time with his feet, so he can extend plays. And you can't expect your secondary to stick with guys that long back there. And then plays break down, he buys maybe another second, throws it up, and there you go.
Right.
So
I'm going with Ithaca.
yeah. Yep. So, all right. Well, I want to segue into the coaching thing again. What got you into it, and what keeps you into coaching? Because I know you're really busy just with everything you do.
So I came into Fruitport. Coach Rieger, who coached me at Shores, was there, and I'm moving to the district. I had a pizzeria in the area on Heights Ravenna Road, and Coach asked me, "Hey, I heard you're moving to OV," and I go, "Yep, my wife's from there. We're gonna go there." And he goes, "Okay, great. We'll see you. We want you to come to the staff. And can't pay you, but we want you to be on staff. We'll see if Coach Wilson will let you, and just come to Fruitport." So we ended up at Fruitport, and that was 2000 is when we moved there. And they got the boys into youth, and at that time it was either, no, you want to bring your guys to beach, there's Fruitport youth, but there's beach, go there. And I was sitting in the stands one day, and someone came up and said, "Hey, can you give us a hand on offensive line?" And it started really there. Kind of just worked my way up, and then I did both youth, and then I had the privilege that Coach did allow me. Coach Wilson allowed me to be on that staff, and boy, you knew your role. My role was my fat butt had to be up top, and I had to watch the tight ends. And got down to Coach Roop, and from Coach Roop it came to Coach Wilson. But everybody knew their role. I mean, I was the best popcorn guy, in the concession stand. So you knew your role there. And I've been lucky to be under that staff. After that was, Greg Vargas kept me around, and that was when we were in the black, and it was tough. Yeah. And when he left, Nate allowed me to stay on, which I'm grateful for. So I'm the old guy on the staff, but it's been fun. I've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot more football than I thought I knew, and just how to organize and what it takes to, when I played 20 years or not 20 years ago, I wish 30 some years ago, to the preparation it goes into now. With everybody.
And you guys both have a lot of experience coaching, because you do as well. Ken, how special is that bond that you form with the kids and in the community?
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason why you keep coming back, right? Nobody coaches for the pay. I think it's like 7 cents an hour, right? And so, but to be able to develop those relationships with the boys in the locker room and build them up as young men, that's the piece that's priceless, that continues to draw you back. Winning's great, but developing young men and being competitive and watching them grow into productive citizens and good husbands and fathers, that's the ultimate goal. And we do that through football. And so that bond is, you can't replace that, and that stays forever. And that's what keeps people coming back. Right. And they coach for as long as they do. And guys like Steve Wilson, who I think is oftentimes kind of forgotten about as a area great coach, right? Hall of Famer. That's why those guys keep coming back, and they stay in it for such a long time. And so I consider myself, and I'm sure you do, extremely lucky to have the opportunity to coach, one of the greatest games in the world, to be able to do that and be given the opportunity.
I think and I haven't coached in that capacity like that, like you guys have, but been around it a lot. And to me, it's got to be so rewarding when you see these boys or young men turn into men and great husbands, great fathers, great community members, and great teammates as employees and stuff like that. And it's just the stuff that I love is I know you saw it, but and kind of on a somewhat of a tangent, was what I love about sports and developing young people is when James Young was sitting by the goalpost after the game, kind of reflecting.
I saw that.
And then Hunter Hogan comes, he's heading to the bus,
Yeah.
and he sees him and stops and has some few words of encouragement. To me, that's what it's all about. I love to see that because I know it's competitive. These kids are at each other. These teams are at each other. But at the end of the day, to me, that's what it's about.
100% agree with you, without question.
And for even for me, it's been everything what you're saying too. But even the guys that have lost their way, when they graduate, or maybe they don't graduate, or they get into some times that are in dark places. That those are the kind of guys I look out, and reach out to, and still have contact to this
Right.
day. Or when they're buying their houses, they come and get a mortgage. So the relationships is 100%. And I've been extremely lucky. I'm glad Coach Rieger had my butt come over here because I'm very lucky to be there.
Yeah.
And I know this is not why you do it, why you coach, but how much do those relationships you form help you with your business in terms of people get to know the person you are, and they get to trust you, and all those things. And the word gets out. I mean, how much do you think they play off each other in some ways?
I think,
or are they
so.
kind of unrelated? I don't know.
No, I think there's a good balance there. There's some people would say, "Oh, you only do it because you want business down the road, or you do this and that," and those are the naysayers.
Well, back to his point, for at 7 cents an hour, if you're getting
I
that,
think you're giving us too much money.
That might be.
That's pretty good pay.
That might be.
I was going to say, so you're not doing it for the money. That's for darn sure.
But I do get guys coming when they, and even if they don't go through me, hey, do you know a realtor or their situation, we can point them in the right direction, or we'll do the mortgage. And it's helped. Before that, it was a pizzeria, and I certainly didn't get a pizzeria to get my way into Fruitport football. I'd like pizza. I had my pizzeria.
Interesting strategy if you did. Right?
Yeah, that's a cookie cutter down the road for everybody. But I mean, I had my own pizzeria when I was 19, and I liked Cloverville. I knew some dudes that we went in business together, and ended up buying them out. And I had a relationship. That 2001 team, I'll give you an example. There was 4 or 5 guys that worked there that I could just give the keys the other night and say, "Hey, I know you're going to have guys come in, have some pizza and pop it, or just make sure you clean up." You can trust that,
Yeah.
And that's kind of, all part of that deal.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those jobs that it's pretty thankless, but it really resonates when they invite you to their wedding, when they and they want you to meet their kid and their new baby and their wife and all those things. And if it garners business, it garners business. Great. But at the end of the day, we do it because we want to be a positive impact on kids.
And honestly, both lines of work in a lot of lines of work, it's all about the relationships.
For sure.
Like I know it is for mine. It's always been that way for me. And I think, developing those relationships, that's always been number one, whether you're a coach, teacher, whatever line of work you're in, doesn't matter. So,
yeah. And when I was with Greg, there was a lot of administration that came to me for a loan, and so that was rewarding, that I was trusted by superintendent or principal or teachers, and it's those still relationships are still with me. And so yeah, they're, I think, hand in hand. But if I didn't do mortgages, I think I would still love coaching.
No, and we'll get to the West Michigan Ironmen, because I know you being in the owner and very involved in that. I want to talk about that a little bit too, but I think this is a good spot to just kind of talk about what you guys do at VanDyk Mortgage Lakeshore. And obviously you have an office here in Montague, right near the bridge there. And just if you could just kind of explain to our listeners and viewers what you guys do and what you can do to help them.
So VanDyk Mortgage, we are not a broker, so we're not going to go, find 10 different outlets to get you a loan. We lend our own money. We're with Jennie Mae, Freddie Mac, and we're with the government. Everything that involves getting a loan, and we just don't hold deposits like savings or checking. We don't do that. We're all over the United States. I was very lucky to be part of VanDyk Mortgage as a branch manager since 2006, I think. And before that, I was with another branch that was with VanDyk Mortgage. So in total, I've been with them about 19 years. And they've gone, that industry's up and down. You didn't have to be licensed. Everybody and their brother and sister was a mortgage person hooked up with a realtor. And there was a lot of, things happening in our industry that caused, they say, the market crashed. Then you had to get licensed. And I was lucky to have a good owner in Tom VanDyk that took a chance on Muskegon, because we were, all over the United States, we're the smaller, branch where we don't do a lot of volume, more units than volume. So our loan sizes were lower at that time, and just we were kind of the diamond in the rough to VanDyk to our loan sizes are still on the lower side compared to the rest of the country, but our units, we're number one in units, and we're number one in a lot of categories with VanDyk Mortgage now. And Tom VanDyk took a chance on us, and he wanted us to expand, and so we were able to go. And our first spot was in Fruitport. Actually, it was on Glade Street, over by the Heartstone. That was our first location, and then we moved over to Fruitport behind El Burrito Loco, and from there, I have sons that have joined the business. I have 3 sons that work at VanDyk. Ethan is training to get his license, and then my other son Peyton is a senior now, is going to go to Davenport. And so I wanted to, when I was in the pizza business, I was hoping that everyone would have their own pizzeria somewhere. That's what I could give back. And those margins were very slim. The hot now stuff, kicked our butt, and industry started sliding, and I got into the mortgage business. And so now I want everyone to have their own branch someday.
And what motivates you, or what has motivated you in this line of work? I know you want to help people.
So when I was in the pizzeria business, I didn't know that you could bring in a lot of business and you wrote off a lot of money. So when I went to go try to get a mortgage, I didn't have income. My credit was bad. I went through a bad divorce, and everywhere I went, I couldn't get a mortgage. So when I got in the mortgage business, everybody knew somebody. So my niche had to be repairing people's credit. Someone that everyone, there's a lot more people like me where the banks or credit unions said no. So that's when I said, I'm going to start helping that person, which was me. So that was my niche. So it got around town with realtors that, hey, if you have a tough deal to do, or if these people say no, go see Mario. And you talk about relationships. I ran an ad on credit repair, first time home buyer, got 50 calls. I still work from that list 20 years later. And it makes me happy when we can, I believe everybody should be a homeowner. I know it's hard, and everybody has that right, and it's up to that person how hard they want to work. If they're credit challenged or they're lower income, those are the people I like working with, because that's where I was at. And it makes me very happy to help someone like that. And then from there, word of mouth goes, and then from there, you don't know who they know, and that I've been able to just build my business off of that.
No, and you obviously in the relationship business as a former administrator, now working for BSN. I mean, how important is it to kind of foster those relationships?
Yeah, it's key. We're education, mortgage, it's all people business. And so, how you treat others and how you're perceived to treat others, it goes a long way in terms of, if they're going to support you and your business and your efforts. So I guess I would ask Mario, 1, is it a good time to refinance? Personally, and 2, if VanDyk Mortgage would consider the naming rights to the turf at Fred Jack's Field. A meeting with Frank Peterson tomorrow to talk about what that might look like.
He's Frank's great.
Yeah, are you gonna go up to Ithaca and just kind of take some photos and do a scouting?
Absolutely.
Little facility scout.
Absolutely.
Bring that down to Fred Jack's.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I got a vision.
That's right. That's the first question. One thing that will always happen, there's death, divorce. So if you're like in that kind of situation, or debt consolidation, it's still the best time to refi, because the house values are still high. Okay. That's the only thing that's really kind of, I think, keeping our country right now going, is our home values went up so high the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I know it's starting to come down a little bit, but I think West Michigan was always undervalued for a long time. I think we're catching up to the rest of the country, and I think we're going to be okay that way. But I'm not a realtor or pretend to be a realtor, but the home values are still high. So if someone's debt consolidation, or I've got loans, or I have loans going that fit all those bills right now.
Right.
So the easy loans that were done by other, some people at my office and our competitors, that easy stuff is over with. Yeah. Where your phone just constantly ringing.
Right.
Now you got to grind, and you got to know what you're doing to navigate what we're in right now. and I was there, so I think pretty good at navigating the storm right now.
Yeah, and kudos to those that had that vision for downtown Muskegon. That it doesn't look anything like it did 25, 30 years ago, and that place is just booming. And so, sounds like VanDyk Mortgage had a vision to kind of stick with Muskegon, and it's really starting to pay off. And that downtown is a destination to be looked at and considered.
Yes, when Frank asked me if I would just, when you go into the Trinity Health Arena through the front doors, we were supposed to just be a glass VanDyk Mortgage up there, and then we went there, and Frank said, "Hey, would you like this opportunity?" Two other banks said no, and I said, "No, there's no way Tom VanDyk's going to go for this. He doesn't like long-term lease. We're not going to do it. Just thanks for showing me around, but got to go."
Right.
And so my office manager and ops manager, Annette Ream, was with me, and as soon as we got in the car, I said, "Okay, we got to make this happen," because I too have been here. I'm 50 years now, and I'm like, holy Toledo, down here is totally different, and I see what they're trying to do, and we need to jump on this. And I can't believe the other two banks didn't. And even with the tough times that are right now with the low inventory and the high rates, it'll bounce back. And what they have going down there is, it's a huge billboard, 4 really board billboards all the way around with the marquee on Shoreline there. And so Annette really went hard to work. We talked to Tom VanDyk, and I said, "Hey, this is a good vision." "Well, I don't like the 10-year commitment, And so I was talking with Frank, and I go, "Hey, Tom's not going to go for this. Here's what we need to do." So we restructured the deal to make it work. We already had the numbers for Tom, and senior management voted yes, it would be a good deal. And again, even with the tough times right now with everything going on, I still believe it's a great bet and what's going down there. A lot of great people.
Yeah,
And
it's awesome.
about staying the course, because things are going to be up and down. You look at like the stock market, things are going to be up and down, and you have to kind of stay the course. How much of a link is there? I'm not trying to make a link that's not there, but between running a business when you have some ups and downs, some peaks and valleys, and coaching a sport where within a game where you're going to have these peaks and valleys, and you got to stay the course and stay level-headed about it.
I think Tom VanDyk would have been a great football coach, and he's got these branches all over the country, and we have lost some good branches, we've gained some good branches, but he's kept us very steady. And even in 2000 and 2021, where the loans were easier to get, he reminded us, "Hey, there's 2018, 19 that you have to consider. That's going to go back, down, and it'll come back up." But he's been a very good steward of our company, and so has all of our senior man. Justin McDowell is great, our company CFO, and Jeannie Neviason is another one, and they do a great job to make sure we're where we need to be.
So where else do you have the offices again?
So we have that one in Fruitport behind the Burrito Loco. We have the convention center. We have Montague, of course, and then we have Holland, and we have one at 940 Monroe in Grand Rapids. And so that's a pretty good spread of where we're at. I really wanted to come to Montague and Whitehawk because I see the growth that's happening here and people coming this way. And when we first got here, they said, that's a tough place to go. It's still a smaller town. And, I had words of encouragement and other people saying, you don't really want to go there. And I'm like, we're going. And I was able to get a good location at where the weather vane is. And I just think with here, it's a lot like Fruitport. They got to get to know you first before they just jump.
Absolutely.
And say, hey, can we trust these people
Right.
or not? How long are they going to be around? And so we've been there about a year and a half now, maybe a little bit less. And we have a solid crew there. Your wife's there, and she is amazing. She keeps us all.
She's okay.
Glued in. And
she has to be a saint, obviously.
To put up with this, yes.
I didn't say it. I just said she has to be a saint.
These looks are only going to get you so far.
It's tough, right?
Yeah.
Well, and just real quick to speak to Mario's point about, just kind of that steady leadership. One of the things that I've learned throughout my time as being a building leader is that I think people appreciate that consistency, right? You don't let the highs get too high and the lows get too low, and you just kind of operate right here, right? And so they know what to expect. And so their lives are a little less stressful because they know what they're going to get when they come into work or when they go to practice or whatever that looks like, and how that translates to how you work with kids and adults. The good leaders are just that. They're just steady, right? And I think that brings a lot of ease and peace to people that are working with those leaders.
That's why I'm a good assistant, because I keep the gas on. I've got people around me that are the brakes, but I'm like, let's go.
Right. Well, it's good to have that balance on your staff.
I'm a good soldier, I would say.
Right.
It is. So, speaking of downtown, really growing, and it's exciting to see. I'm from Urbana originally, but I've always considered Muskegon County, like my home. The Hoyer, I've had a lot of pride in it, and I love to see what's going on. And one of the things that's happened down there, among the many, is the renovation at the arena, which is now Trinity Health Arena. And obviously, you guys, that's where you play your home games for the West Michigan Ironmen. How much is this, I guess, resurgence, rebirth, whatever you want to call it, downtown? How much do you think that has helped, could help what you guys have going on with the Ironmen?
I think it helps out a lot. I'm being told that from the city officials, they want us there, they need us there, and I think it brings a good variety of fans to the game. Every kind of walk of life is going to have a good time there and see something maybe that only in the state of Michigan that we have right now. We'll get to that in our new league, but right now we're the only arena football team in Michigan, and it's starting to make a comeback a little bit around area.
So have you been to Ironman games, or have you been to the arena?
Yeah, absolutely. Love the arena. I love the additions. Carlisle there now, and Rad Dad's there. It's just a great environment, great family environment that's affordable.
It's affordable.
My kids love going to the Ironman game. If you're gonna put something on display in Muskegon, if it's hockey and if it's football, it's probably going to do okay, because those are kind of what this area is known for. But great opportunity to get out and catch some football and just have a good time, a family oriented, affordable good time.
I love what they've done with the arena too.
Yeah.
It makes it more of a social, social experience, as opposed to. Not that there was anything wrong with what they had going on with the arena before, but I think this appeals to a lot broader audience, because even if you don't like football, it's a good place to go hang out and spend a night with some friends and stuff, or
it's
family.
Definitely more intimate than what it was before.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What I was used to growing up here, and when they made those changes, I'm like, the first time I was at a hockey game, and then the Ironman. This is awesome. I mean, everybody, you're right there.
Yeah.
And you're right. It brings all different kinds of people that will enjoy the scenery.
So is there anything you can tell us about where things are headed with Ironmen and the new league or anything like that, or any the exciting stuff going on?
The team that we played last year, which was very good for us, and I think them, that we don't care for anymore, was the Charlotte Thunder, which folded just recently.
Wow.
And TD from the Panthers, Terrell Davis, I think is his name, and he just didn't like what was going on. We went there; it was a lot of shenanigans, and he pulled out, and now they're done. So we kind of figured it would go that way, because he's a good guy, and he just doesn't want his name on that, I think.
Yeah.
And so Nate and I were flirting around with we've been in different leagues. It's been kind of a joke of team's going to show, not show. I know that there's some fans that are like, yeah, get better competition. I'm like, yeah, but then we do, and then you guys get upset because we lose. So it's like, and the budget's much higher. CIF, it's like $750,000. I don't have that kind of money. A lot of my sponsors, then we have to raise ticket prices, and we just didn't want to do that.
Right.
So we're going to develop our own league to try to make it more regional, because the traveling is just it's $19,000 to go to Charlotte.
Yeah.
But we have a gentleman, Jake Shanks from Battle Creek. We were putting our heads together, and we're having our own league. It's going to be the GLAA, Great Lakes Arena Association, and it's going to be us, Battle Creek, potentially Saginaw, Kalamazoo, one of them, then Chicago, 2 Ohio teams, and a Pennsylvania team.
Oh, perfect.
So we're
I think that'd be pretty cool.
We're supposed to make that
Sounds great.
announcement in a couple weeks or so, but Nate said I could make it now. And
All right.
so you
That's
guys
why
got
you
the-
come here.
That's right. We got the inside scoop.
That's why you come on the CatchMark SportsNet podcast.
Right. Well, it makes sense for kind of those mid-major cities that have arenas like
Yeah.
that to have a team. Like, why not? Right.
Right.
And it keeps our budgets in line to
Yeah.
keep costs low, and our traveling is a little much better. So we can maybe do some marketing dollar sharing. And,
Yeah.
So it makes sense. And we have 6 home games now. We verified that.
Cool.
And that's something that we never really had in the last couple of years. It's kind of a still weird dynamic down there, and everybody's starting to work together better. And Jake, the arena manager there, we got with the risers and
I'm assuming that's Kellogg Arena down there, probably.
Yep. So he got Kellogg Arena secured. So
Did you say Kalamazoo's involved too?
they're thinking about that.
That's Wing Stadium.
Wing Stadium.
Yep.
We're not saying that we won't go to a soccer venue, but
Yeah.
we didn't want to do that to make the product lesser. You know, it's hard to get guys in from other
Yeah.
parts of the country to come in for that. But and I'm looking forward to it because we've always had our dates in like February, and then we're scrambling, and now we have 6 solid dates, so now we can go market it better. We have a better product, and we can start recruiting that now.
It is like when that Charlotte team came in. That was good football. That was
good.
fun to watch.
It was a great game.
It was.
And
Both times you played them, they were good games.
yeah, yep. And I just I wish we could get that every game. You know, we had our biggest crowd there that game, and it was fun. You know, and then we won, and we could have lost in the last play of the game.
Yeah.
We won on the last play of the game.
It was a great environment, though. But yeah, so speaking of great games, we'll be seeing you again on Friday. I'll be there covering it, and we'll be doing an audio stream. You know, so I encourage people to attend, and if they can't, they can listen to it for free on our audio live stream, or they can go to the game and then go listen to it to the broadcast afterwards, because that's up on YouTube and it's up there, hopefully, presumably forever. So, but I appreciate you being on, Mario, and I guess you too, Ken. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. It's good to see you too.
But no, but
Nice meeting you, Ken.
Yeah, you too.
yeah, but good luck to you guys on Friday. It should be a heck of a ball game.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So before we go, we got to say thanks to our sponsors again. Grieve Law, Big Stone Therapies, Green Ridge Realty with Chris Dykeman and Sarah Reel, North Grove Brewers, Foundation Systems of Michigan with John Botten, Coldwell Banker with Dave Dusenberry, Scheid Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, and of course our title sponsors, VanDyk Mortgage Lakeshore and Durga Insurance Group. Hope you're having a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you again soon.